China's economy in continuous decline. Shutdown of globally renowned toy factory in Shenzhen. Recently, another major factory has shut down. On January 13, Shenzhen Taikei Wanxing Electronics Co. issued a notice announcing that because of the pandemic in recent years and the current adverse economic conditions, the company is facing serious financial pressure. The income has long been unable to support expenses, consistently at loss, and currently there is no improvement. So it is regrettable to announce the suspension of production and letting go of all employees from January 12, 2024. Shenzhen Taikei Wan Xing Electronics is not only an ordinary size factory, it's a well-established Hong Kong-funded toy factory that has been operating for nearly 30 years. It's a globally renowned high-end electronic toy manufacturer that integrates design, research and development, production, and sales. The company mainly produces plastic electronic toys, remote control toys, electronic toys, high-end electronic consumer products, and acts as an OEM for global renowned toy companies like Mattel, Simba Dickey, Tommy, Disney, and more. According to the official website, the company has over 2,000 employees and is headquartered in Hong Kong. It's established its mainland China factory in Longgang District, Shenzhen in 1994. In August 2013, the company also set up a branch factory in Chenzhou, Hunan named Taikei Wanxing Electronics Chenzhou Co. Limited. Its products are exported to countries such as Europe and United States and Japan. According to the annual report, the number of employees, business scale, and operating income of Taikei Wanxing Shenzhen Company have all been a significant decline from 2016 to 2019, indicating a substantial downturn. During the pandemic, the company's operations faced even more challenges. In fact, the closure of Taikei Wanxing's Shenzhen Company is not an isolated case. So far, many electronics factories in China have announced closures and dissolution, including well-established ones like Dayermei, Goodway, and Alco. In the toy industry alone, closures include Shenzhen Nanling Toy Products Co. in August 2018. It was a subsidiary of the May Group, and the sudden closure caught all employees and suppliers off guard. In March 2019, Hongchang Toy Shenzhen Co. Limited officially withdrew from Shenzhen. Hongchang is the primary OEM factory of the second largest US toy manufacturer, Hasbro. In January 2020, the Hong Kong-funded company Baofa Toys Shenzhen Co. Limited announced the closure of its factory. In March 2020, the world's largest toy manufacturer, Hong Kong Early Light, officially withdrew from Shenzhen. Many of these closures have occurred after the US-China trade war and were significantly affected by the Chinese government's strict pandemic control measures. Numerous toy manufacturing enterprises have had to relocate from Shenzhen or Guangdong province to regions with lower operating costs, such as Southeast Asia, South Asia, and Mexico. Once upon a time, companies like Taikei Wanxing, an iconic toy company, prospered under China's reform and opening up policies. In the 1980s, with the investment of Hong Kong-funded enterprises, Shenzhen's toy industry became one of the city's earliest processing industries. Subsequently, Shenzhen gradually became an essential part of the global toy industry chain. By 2000, 75% of global toys were manufactured in China, with most factories located in Guangdong and some in places like Jiaxing, Zhejiang. Guangdong's toy factories were clustered, with foreign investment mainly in Shenzhen and Dongguan, and private enterprises mainly in Shantou and Jieyang. These widely scattered factories almost define the manufacturing level of the world's toys. For decades, these toy factories, playing the role of workshops, laid a solid supply chain foundation for the development of China's toy industry today. They provided robust support for the development of branded and platform-oriented toy brands like Pop Mart, Top Toy, and popular children's toy brands like Blocks and Bravo Kids. Looking beyond the companies, the long-standing toy factory provided a large number of employment opportunities, once a solid force in China's economic development. Comparing the past and present, and by observing Taikei Wasing, one can see that the toy industry in Shenzhen and even the entire manufacturing industry in China is in a state of decline. So, what has caused the current plight of the toy industry in Shenzhen and more broadly the entire manufacturing industry in China? The reasons behind it are not as simple as the recent impact of the US-China trade war, the pandemic, and the like. Going back to the roots, we need to start from the booming real estate industry in China, which has lasted for more than 20 years. China's housing prices have skyrocketed for a long time, significantly increasing the housing to income ratio. This has led to a wealth gap, rising economic cost, and has impacted various industries, including manufacturing. The overheating real estate market has created a drain on resources and capital, making many manufacturing business owners feel like it's easier to make a fortune through real estate speculation than through years of hard work in manufacturing. This was indeed the reality of the past 20 years or so, and with this in front of them, there is less incentive to consider steady operations, continuous investment, improvement, and upgrade in the manufacturing industry. China could have relied on its status as a world's factory to fund urban infrastructure development through manufacturing industry's taxes. However, local governments forced more on the land fiscal system. The management, sale, or lease of land and related resource offset the low profit from industrial land and tax incentives for manufacturing. But it ultimately harmed the transformation of the manufacturing industry. When the manufacturing industry was ready to upgrade, it faced high housing prices. The continuous inflation of the real estate bubble has directly resulted in a rise of factory rental costs. Subsequently, labor, social security, and environmental costs have continued to rise, making it difficult for the manufacturing industry to survive. The increase in profit from product prices lags far behind the rise in labor costs. The previous model of low profit production and processing solely based on foreign designs is no longer sustainable in today's China. Caught between pursuing profits and rising costs, companies either go bankrupt or rush to automate and digitize, reducing the demand for labor in the market. Simultaneously, less manpower available due to over 30 years of China's one-child policy, coupled with the widespread emphasis on higher education, resulted in the decrease of such manual labor. The second wave of impact came during US President Donald Trump's presidency and when the US-China trade war broke out. Companies in various industries involved in China's exports found it even more challenging to operate. The Chinese Communist Party's confrontation and wolf warrior foreign policy led to more significant damage to China in the trade war. The third wave of impact occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic when the Chinese authorities implemented severe lockdown measures. These measures, driven by political ambitions, ignored economic factors and caused irreparable damage to China's manufacturing industry. Reduced orders, internal price hikes, and consistently low factory profits lead to a new normal of layoffs, closures, and relocations. After eagerly waiting the end of the pandemic-related lockdowns, there was a widespread expectation for a rebound in the Chinese economy. However, even the somewhat exaggerated economic data officially released by China shows that this rebound has turned into nothing. The overall China's economy is deteriorating, with the three major driving forces of economic growth over the past few decades, exports, investment, and consumption, all on the decline. The wave of shocks have made it difficult for many businesses and stores to continue supporting themselves, even if they manage to barely survive 3 years of pandemic-related lockdowns. Insufficient demand, orders, and consumption, more terrifying than cost increases, extinguish the hopes of surviving the prolonged winter. Chinese official media have commented that the closure or suspension of these manufacturing businesses is not an isolated phenomenon, stating that it is an inevitable result of the entire industry's upgrade. This is a self-deception. Upgrading the manufacturing industry for China is not just a goal to enhance international competitiveness, but a significant issue of advance or perish. High-ended industrial upgrading is necessary, but where is China's so-called high-end manufacturing? Even if it exists, Can it replace the massive manufacturing companies that have already disappeared? Let's look at official data from 2017 to 2019. The newly registered manufacturing companies in China decreased from 524,600 to 471,600, averaging a 5.2% annual decrease. Notably, new registrations for foreign-funded and Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan-funded enterprises declined the most, averaging annual decreases of 8.8% and 8.3% respectively. Although the new registrations for private manufacturing enterprises decreased relatively less, they still averaged a 5.1% annual decrease. From 2017 to 2019, the annual closing and deregistering manufacturing enterprises in China increased from 129,000 to 200,300, equivalent to an average annual growth of 24.6%. Among these, the closure of private manufacturing enterprises increased the most, averaging a 25.8% annual growth. Foreign-funded manufacturing enterprises and Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan-funded manufacturing enterprises also averaged annual growth of 11% and 6.6% respectively. It's crucial to note that these are pre-pandemic figures, and the data during and after the pandemic is expected to be even more drastic. Guangdong province's empty the cage for new birds industry upgrade policy aims to move traditional manufacturing out of current industrial bases, cages, and bring in advanced production capabilities, birds, for economic transformation and industrial upgrading. While it sounds attractive, the question remains, who has seen the new birds flying in? Industrial upgrading requires significant investment in production lines, equipment, capacity, and management. However, a sharp decline in overseas orders coupled with rising central and local government debts leaves them unable to implement effective measures to stimulate economic growth. The aftermath of the pandemic has forced consumers to lower their spending due to unemployment, falling property values, and shrinking wealth, leading to a significant contraction in domestic consumption. China's business environment is becoming increasingly challenging. Entrepreneurs are reluctant to invest and expand production. So where does industrial upgrading come into play? Moreover, compared to Germany, which has already embraced Industry 4.0, China faces challenges such as a lack of standardization, significant trial and error cost, unstable product quality, and less people to inherit the craftsmanship. These are all issues that cannot be quickly resolved. The Chinese government still supports and subsidizes high-cost, low-efficiency enterprises, from solar panels to semiconductor manufacturing and now to new energy vehicles, making it an open secret among certain manufacturing companies. It all sounds good to allow excess capacity zombie industries to naturally die out, letting industries that truly need the transformation to transform independently, investing more in training and not relying on policies to stimulate innovation. However, the deeply rooted planned economy of China makes it impossible to let the market determine the life or death of enterprises, especially state-owned enterprises. Moving from made in China to created in China seems more like a dream, perhaps fitting with Xi Jinping's initial statement of his Chinese dream when he first took power. In essence, it started with the CCP incorrectly designating the real estate industry as an economic pillar, harming other industries, including manufacturing. The long-standing problems, such as the decline of the younger population, remains unsolved. More critically, after Xi Jinping became the top leader of the CCP and adopted the wolf warrior diplomacy and continuously worsening relations with the West, it has led to gradual economic decoupling with developed Western countries. The trend back towards a planned economy is evident, and once on his path without market economy principles, the whole country is not far from returning to poverty. The decline of the manufacturing industry is just a short episode in China's economic tragedy. With more manufacturing enterprises closing down, the country heads towards a dim future. What may infuriate and embarrass the CCP even more than the decline of what they perceive as low-end traditional manufacturing like Shenzhen, Tat K, Huaxing Electronics is a potential failure of their ambitious Made in China 2025 strategic policy. In simple terms, China's Made in China 2025 initiative aims to transform the country from a low value, heavy industrial producer into a high tech powerhouse driven by domestically led next generation technologies like quantum computing, AI, and microprocessors. The Chinese government has identified 10 industries as the focal points for its initiative, such as the next gen information technology, semiconductors and networks, robotics, aerospace, maritime engineering, advanced railways, new energy vehicles, smart power equipment, smart grids and smart cities, advanced agriculture, new materials, and biopharmaceuticals. However, this strategy has raised concerns globally, especially in the West, led by the United States. Made in China 2025 reflects the Chinese Communist Party's ambitions to become a global tech giant at the expense of other countries. The comprehensive government blueprint involves tactics such as forcing foreign technology transfers, discriminatory treatment of foreign investments in the Chinese market, intellectual property theft, cyber espionage, and excessive subsidies for domestic companies. These unfavorable conditions are considered by the Western companies as the cost of doing business in China. Overall, these policies help strengthen Chinese companies' control over crucial foreign technologies, even if it means sacrificing foreign competitors to expand their domestic and global market share. These actions are guided by a mindset that prioritizes personal gain over others. It violates WTO agreements, principles of global cooperation, and fair competition, as well as universal values. The international backlash has prompted Chinese leaders to handle Made in China 2025 discreetly in public, avoiding explicit mentions in official speeches, publications, and propaganda, following clear instructions from the central government. CCP's low profile approach doesn't mean they have stopped implementing Made in China 2025. Western vigilance remains, and the ongoing decoupling in China US technology is still a concern. Europe, citing security reasons, is also partially decoupling. China's attempt to upgrade its manufacturing to high-end levels are increasingly hindered, especially in critical areas such as chips and software. Looking ahead, China's mid to low-end manufacturing will be forced to shut down or relocate, and high-end manufacturing will face even greater challenges. China may gradually become isolated from the international stage with no access to high-tech sharing or the latest information. Material scarcity and poverty could follow, marking the end of the road for the CCP's authoritarian rule and its global ambitions.